Welcome to another edition of Eye on the Issues. Joining us today is Heidi Lusby-Angvick. She is the Pershing County Economic Development Authority Executive Director. Welcome, Heidi. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for having me.
Of course. So today we're going to talk about employment in, of course, the state of Nevada. And one of the issues that most of our audience traditionally is Wyoming based. We're talking about, marijuana legalized in Colorado for a while, legalized in Nevada for maybe 6.5 years. I'm just curious. Let's get a little more of your background. If you can kind of paint a little picture for us, that would be great.
Sure. So my community is located about 100 miles northeast of Reno, along I-80, which we share with a good part of Wyoming as well. And so we are. Our community was settled in 1917, created as an incorporated city. Our city has just under 2,000 people in it, and our county was created in 1919. It was the last county created in Nevada, and for a total county population, we're looking at 6,800 residents. In that population of 6,800 residents, we also we need to disclude 1,600 prison medium security prisoners. So that takes away from our population. So we're a very small, very rural community, but still kind of attached to those megapolitan areas of Reno, as well as the Bay Area.
And what is the biggest economic development engine for your area besides the prison?
So we are primarily mining and agriculture for our industries, and then government as well, because of the prison, city and county government employees and so forth. So, but mostly mining and agriculture.
And so what do they mine out there?
So we have primarily gold mines. We have 2 or 3 different gold mines in our county, and we also have the largest silver mine in the state of Nevada, which is Core Rochester. And then we also mine diatomaceous earth, which is a filter aid for pool, the white powder that goes into your pool filters, or that you use for filtering liquids such as wine, beer, ketchup, that type of stuff. So those are the things that we produce here in our county.
Okay, so let's talk about marijuana in this instance and how long it's been legalized in your state. I believe it's about 6.5 years. Does that sound accurate?
Yeah, that's about right. So, and in the state of Nevada, that through their NRS, they said that per population base and the size of your counties and so forth, you could only have so many facilities in an area. And so for Pershing County, that means that we are only allotted one place where you can go and purchase marijuana. That happened to actually be in our local colony. Our city officials did not, I shouldn't say our city officials, but the population, our community, did not necessarily want a facility where you could go and purchase marijuana in our community. So the local tribe did take that on for themselves.
And in your opinion, how has that legalization impacted, I guess, everything from the workforce to the schools?
So for workforce, it's difficult in our community to be employed and then be able to partake. Because of the mines, they are governed by MSHA, which is the Mining Safety and Health Association, it's like OSHA, but for mining. And so because of that, because it is safety sensitive, you cannot partake in marijuana. So that wipes out a whole big portion of our workforce that would be, so inclined to do so. Also, any of our organizations such as the city and the county and even the schools that receive federal dollars, they also do not allow marijuana as a recreational opportunity. So quite honestly, most of the people in Pershing County are not partaking. You do have those medicinal users, but those are, different exemptions that you would get a medical card for. I believe that a lot of our traffic, they are coming off the highway and going to the colony and purchasing, and then getting back on the highway and continuing on. So, yeah.
And so it's on the reservation, sounds like, is that correct?
It's a small 15-acre colony, so we don't actually have a reservation, but similar idea, yes.
Got it. Okay. And so is there a sales tax on it there in Nevada, or since it's on the colony, it's exempt?
Colony is exempt, and so they are able to make their rules as they choose. The colony has been gracious and has given money to the city as a pass-through. So we have been able to purchase, a garbage truck or something, occasionally. But that's goodwill type of opportunity. It's not necessarily something that they have to do.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And so in respect to you being right off of I-80, as you said, I would imagine you get a lot of travelers coming through that area. Some of them go there and make purchases and whatnot. Are there any tourist locations? Is there anything worth going to see in your area that you can tell us about?
We're working on it. It is, like I said, it is a very small community, and we have been, with the recession and everything else that has occurred over the last 10, 20 years, and Pershing County and Lovelock have been hard hit. It's not been up until recently where our unemployment levels have been steadied out, and in the low 5%. We were the epicenter for drought for numerous years, and so with the drought that comes with us, the impact was then to our farming, where we had several years of zero water irrigation, and farmers were not able to then produce their alfalfa and get that to market. So tourism wise, we are working on tourism. There are some opportunities, but most of it would be off-road ventures, going out to see a ghost town, or the Lovelock Cave, which is a national on the National Registry. So there's different things to do, but most of it would not necessarily be in the city of Lovelock. It would be out in the area.
Given the fact that you've been experiencing a drought for some time, what is your traditional source of water?
The Humboldt River. So the Humboldt River originates in Elko County, which is the most eastern county in the state of Nevada. And when it's snowing there, we're really happy, and we need it to melt in just the right order so that it can bypass all the other counties and come to us. We are strictly on a ditch irrigation system. We do not run pivots because of the high salt levels and alkalinity of our soils. And then that would then transfer to the plants itself. So it's kind of feast or famine, if the river is running well, we're happy farmers, and if it's not, then we are suffering.
And in respect to other things besides marijuana, alcohol and whatnot, are there issues out there with these other things, or is your community kind of off the grid, I guess, and is that not a major issue?
Yes, there are issues. We are suffering from a drug issue as well. I think that's probably all over the nation, honestly. But I think we are finding that more and more marijuana is possibly that gateway drug. We do have concerns with our children having access to that. I believe that we are doing the best that we can with, we have an organization called Frontier Community Coalition. They are a nonprofit that prides themselves on being a resource for healthy families and a drug-free lifestyle. And so they bring in a lot of grant resources to our community, help us with getting our school resource officers to stay in the schools, promote the DARE programs and other mental health resources as well. So they have brought in mental health counselors to our area.
So what are your thoughts on the current law as it stands in respect to marijuana? Is it okay? Is it too broad? Would you like to see it more narrow?
I think I'd like to see it more narrow. My family is also from the Oregon area, and holy cow, I think that in Oregon they went gung-ho and there was a hot shop on every corner. Thankfully, I'm not seeing that in Pershing County nor in the northern part of Nevada. But I think there were things that we didn't think about that, for instance, I don't believe my county or my city actually thought about the ramifications of if we don't choose to curtail it or put this in a place where we want it, then then that's when the colony was able to then come in and take it and put it in another spot. And was that good? Was that bad? I don't know. But there was not necessarily any controls there. I think for myself, I did not want to see it land on any of our main gateway roads into our community. So our main street or Cornell, which was the old Highway 80 or Highway 400. So I did not want to see it in our gateway streets, but would it have been better suited out in our industrial park where we would have had controls upon it, where we would have been then getting those tax dollars and so forth. Maybe that's what we should have done. I think maybe we were a little gun shy and also reactive rather than proactive.
So what you just said essentially seconds ago was really, I guess, sounds like that would probably be your advice to people of Wyoming where it's not legal yet. Just kind of put your antenna up and know what you're getting into. Is that what you would say?
Research. Definitely do your research. Find the pros and the cons and then decide what is best for us and how, if it does come, how do we control it in a fashion that is best for us? Because like I said, I think that it was coming anyways. We tried to vote it out, through the legislature and all that, and it didn't happen. And so once it was coming to our community, I think our community leaders should have probably done some more workshops together and figured out, rather than having a knee-jerk reaction of, nope, we don't want it. How do we, it's coming anyways. How do we control it?
And so what do you see as the pros?
I do believe there is a medicinal use for it, but that's different. The pros would be that if a community actually has welcomed it, place it in an area where you feel that is best, and then earmark that money for something that is better for the community, something to do for your community. I would say those are the pros. The cons are, in my opinion, is it leading to more drug use and freer access for our younger kids, and that is a concern of mine as a parent.
Are you up to speed at all about the impacts that a decade of legalization has had in the state of Colorado?
I have not been following that completely, so no.
Okay, well, I've done lots of interviews with everything from emergency room physicians to other organizations, and the way the emergency room physician that I interviewed, he basically he'd call it what they call scromiting, people that smoke too much marijuana, and something that's obviously different than the marijuana of 40 years ago. It's a lot more potent now, and that changes everything. So when people smoke it on a regular basis, some show up and it's called scromiting, screaming and vomiting at the same time. Marijuana, I think Colorado thought, okay, fine, we're going to get this opportunity for a revenue stream for the state. And from what I gather, the money that is being spent from a mental health standpoint and a community service standpoint is more than what's coming in from a tax standpoint. Does that surprise you at all to hear that?
No, I'm not surprised. And I would say that that's probably going with any drug, the fentanyl crisis and so forth. So I'm not surprised, and it's sad, it is sad. And I believe that because I work closely with them, with the police chief and the sheriff as well. And so when I'm having conversations with them and asking how their day was, and if they're having to say, well, I went out on a call for a child, I always ask, well, why? What was it? And if it comes back to drugs, it's It's so unnecessary, so heartbreaking.
And speaking of law enforcement, what do you see as the biggest challenges to law enforcement in your area?
Mental health, and honestly, I think also we have legislated a lot of crimes to be just barely a slap on the wrist anymore, and so there's no. I don't know that the punishment is where it should have been or where it used to be. For instance, I knew a child that shot another child with an air pellet gun. It was one of those stupid air pellet guns you could probably buy at Walmart. But it hit the child, pretty close to the temple. And nothing, I don't want to say nothing became of it, but nothing really became of it because, well, the child was just barely injured. It didn't take her eye out or anything. Come on, seriously? As a parent, I think I'd be livid that, you shot my child. What does that escalate to? So I just think that our punishments, we have gone a little bit too lax on our punishments.
Speaking of punishments, lots of communities around the country are, complaining about, in some cases, soft on crime DAs. Is that what you have there?
I believe our district attorney, our sheriff, and our police chief are all very good gentlemen and want the best for our community. I think their hands are tied by what the laws are and what they can actually do.
And are you from Nevada originally, or where are you from originally?
No, I'm from Southern California. I grew up in Riverside County.
So how did you get to Nevada?
I had my grandparents retired from Riverside County to Henderson, and then from Henderson, which is Southern Nevada, up to Northern Nevada. And so as a family, we decided we wanted to leave Southern California as well, just because the explosion of population and growth. And we grew up smaller community. So it was time to leave. I left when my girls were in kindergarten, second grade, and fourth grade. And so they've grown up here, graduated from here, and have moved on to new careers and families here.
And so what do you like most about living in Nevada?
Northern Nevada, what I like most is not having the traffic. But it's a friendly community. I travel all over the state, and I am continuously running into people I know. And you wave with all your fingers, not just one, when you're driving down the road, and it's a welcoming community, and it feels safe, which is what was important to me.
Right. And so if you do want to go to a decent sized city, it sounds like Reno is the closest to you. How far away is that?
96 miles. But it's a quick drive. I allow myself about an hour and 15 minutes, just so if there is any traffic, I can get to where I need to be. The closest Walmart to me is either 60 miles in two directions or 70 miles in another direction. We are very small. We don't have those resources close to us.
Honestly, with everything that's going on around this country right now, there's a lot to be said for small town America.
It really is, and in our community, a handshake still means something, and that's what is important to us.
Okay. Well, Heidi, thank you so much for spending time with us. Is there anything else you want to mention that I haven't asked you about?
No, but if you need me as a resource in Pershing County, please feel free to look me up.
Okay, so if anybody wants to find out more about what's going on, Wyoming really is our home base. Wyoming Liberty, it's wylyberty.org, and sign up for our newsletter. Thanks again, Heidi. Take care.
Thank you. Take care.